Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2e. Today, we're making Nami, the navigator of the Straw Hat crew, and the only reason the crew actually manages to make it to the next island and not to the bottom of the ocean. Nami is both a master thief and a master navigator, and on top of that, after 2 years studying with the citizens of Weatheria, Nami can use the climate tech to weaponize the weather against her foes. So beware of spoilers up to and including Wano, and without further ado, let's get started. Like the rest of the Straw Hats we've made so far, Nami is a human. Man, I can't wait to make Chopper or Jinbei or even Frankie. Anything so they don't have to make another human. Anyway, humans start out with 8 hit points and get a boost to both Dex and Wiz. Next, we have to pick a heritage. The versatile heritage lets us pick up a free general feat. Streetwise lets us use our society rather than our diplomacy to gather information. Nami's been on several different islands and has seen all kinds of civilizations, so she is very quickly able to pick up on the subtleness of each new island the crew visits. Despite claiming to hate pirates, Nami was a member of the Arlong Pirates before she joined the crew. Well, actually, it's probably more because she was on Arlong's crew that she hated pirates. Regardless, we're going with the criminal background. This will give us a boost to Dex and Wisdom, and training in both stealth and underworld lore. We also get the Experienced Smuggler feat, giving us an easier time concealing small weapons and other items on us. Specifically, we can't roll less than a 10 on our stealth check to conceal items. When we become Master in a stealth, we can't roll less than a 15, and when we reach Legendary, we don't have to worry about rolling at all. Alright, so let's take a look at what we need to grab to make this build work. First and foremost, we're the navigator of the crew, so we need to actually be able to navigate. In Pathfinder terms, that means we need both legendary, nature, and survival. Next, we need to be able to obtain Nami's one true love in life, gold. This means we need stealth and thievery. This checklist is starting to sound like a bunch of skills that we need to pick up. That should be simple. What's next? Finally, we need to be able to bend the elements to our whim, creating various weather phenomena from lightning storms to tornadoes. Simple, right? All things considered, two options immediately stand out. Druid gives us everything we need to control the weather, and Rogue gives us the skill increases we need to invest in the multitude of skills we need for Nami. The big question here is, do we go Druid with the Rogue archetype or Rogue with the Druid archetype? Having Druid as our main class will give us more spell slots, while a Rogue main class will give us more skill increases. This build will go Rogue with the Druid archetype to more accurately reflect Nami's progression through the series. Feel free to switch the classes around if you want a more spellcasting heavy playstyle, rather than simply augmenting your rogue playstyle with spells. The rogue class gives us 8 hit points per level plus our con modifier, as well as expert and reflex and will saves and trained and fortitude saves. As for skills, we pick up training in stealth, 1 skill from our racket, and 7 plus our intelligence skills of our choice. We have training in both simple and martial weapons, as well as unarmed attacks. Finally, we only get training in light armor and unarmored defense, but that's fine. Have you seen Nami's wardrobe? I think you would struggle to classify anything she wears as even light armor. For our ability scores, we prioritize Dex. Nami is an expert at getting in and out unseen, only resorting to violence as a last resort. Next, we have Wisdom. Nami has a master understanding of the weather, as well as good sense of when someone is trying to pull one over on her. Int. She is an LADY. Nami's not shy when it comes to hogging the crew's one collective brain cell. Charisma is next. Nami would rather not be seen in the first place, but she can talk her way out of trouble if need be. Finally, we both have strength and con. While plenty capable, Nami has to rely on her other crewmates when it comes to both dealing and taking damage. For our skills, Nami is incredibly versatile, and we will end up legendary in 6 different skills. Nature and survival will help us both our duties as a navigator, as well as understanding the science of Weatheria. Deception, because we can rarely win a fight with raw power, so we have to use trickery to claim victory. Society reflects our ability to arrive at an island and figure out who's in charge, just so Luffy can ignore us and pick a fight with them. Stealth and thievery live up to the epithet of a cat burglar. We also get expert in diplomacy. At one point, Nami is able to convince Zeus, who may I remind you is a part of Big Mom's soul, to turn against Big Mom and join the Straw Hat crew instead. Finally, we get training in, well, everything else. There isn't much Nami can't do. She may not be as good as some of the more specialized members of the crew, but she can make do in a pinch. Starting the build at level 1, we pick up an Ancestry feat. Natural Ambition lets us pick up a level 1 class feat instead, so let's pick up Nimble Dodge, letting us use our reaction to gain a +2 circumstance bonus against an attack we can see. This lets us offset our lack of heavy or even medium armor proficiency. Next, the Tumble Behind class feat lets us use Tumble Through action to make our foe off guard against the next strike we make against the target in this round. Level 1 Rogues also get Rogue's Racket. The Thief Racket gives us training in thievery, as well as lets us add our Dex bonus modifier rather than our Strength score whenever we attack with a finesse weapon or an unarmed attack. Being part of the weakling trio, Nami has to count on getting a couple of lucky shots rather than relying on raw power. Level 1 Rogues also get Surprise Attack, meaning whenever we roll either Stealth or Deception for our initiative, we go before an enemy, that enemy is off guard to us. Finally, our bread and butter as a rogue. Sneak Attack lets us add 1d6 precision damage whenever we strike a foe that is off guard with an agile, finesse, or ranged weapon, or an unarmed attack. We add another d6 of damage at 5th level, 11th level, and 17th level. Level 2 rogues get another class feat, but we will instead pick up the Druid Dedication archetype, letting us pick 2 cantrips and a Druid's Order. The Storm Order is most fitting for Nami's control over the weather. For our 2 cantrips, let's take Electric Arc, giving us a basic Thunderbolt tempo, allowing us to direct a lightning bolt towards 2 foes within 30 feet, dealing 2d4 electricity damage with a basic reflex save. And Gale Blast lets us use Nami's Gust Blade, dealing 1d6 bludgeoning damage to all foes within a 5-foot emanation. The foes make a basic fortitude save for damage, and on a failure, they're pushed back 5 feet or 10 feet on a critical failure. Finally, for our skill feat, let's take Bargain Hunter, allowing us to spend all day buying items and selling them at a marked up price to earn income with a diplomacy check, or take a day to specifically find a discounted price for a single item, allowing us to subtract the price we would have made on earned income from the price of the item. Alternatively, we can simply collect the interest on the loans that Zoro and Luffy have taken out over the course of our adventures. Level 3 lets us select Predict Weather General Feat, allowing us to spend 10 minutes outdoors in order to predict the weather for the next 24 hours with a DC 20 survival check. On a success, we get a +1 circumstance bonus on future survival checks to prepare for that weather, or a +2 on a critical success. Just keep in mind that on the critical failure, you get wrong information, and in the grand line, that could be disastrous. Just try not to end up in the combat, and you should be alright. We also get a skill feat, so let's take Intimidating Glare, letting us replace the auditory trait with the visual trait on our demoralize attempts, and letting us ignore the penalty for not sharing a language with the foe we are attempting to demoralize. Finally, all rogues get the Nigh Advantage, meaning we're not off guard to hidden, undetected, or flanking creatures of our level or lower. Nami is probably the lowest level member of the crew, but it helps be prepared so we don't get caught off by people even lower level than her. At level 4, we can pick up the Archetype feat, Basic Druid Spellcasting, granting us a first rank spell slot. We can prepare any spell from the primal spell list for this slot every day, so let's take a second and run through the ones that fit Nami's flavor particularly well. Airburst pushes all unattended objects of 1 bulk or lower 5 feet away from you. Any large or smaller creature in the area must make a fortitude save. On a success, they take a -2 status penalty on any check they make during the reactions until the end of your turn. On a failure, they still take that penalty and are pushed 5 feet away from you, and on a critical failure, they're pushed 10 feet away from you and can't make reactions until the end of your turn at all. Gust of Wind unleashes a Gust of Wind with a 60-foot line. The wind extinguishes non-magical fires, disperses fog and mist, and blows objects of 1 bulk or less around. Any large or smaller enemies in the area must make a fortitude save. On a success, the creature can't move against the wind until the start of your next turn. On a failure, the creature is knocked prone, and on a critical failure, they're knocked prone and pushed 30 feet in the direction of the wind, and take 2d6 bludgeoning damage. Any creature that fails their save while flying suffers the effect of a critical failure instead. Horizon Thundersphere lets us make a spell attack roll against a foe within 30 feet. On a success, we deal 3d6 electricity damage, or double that, and dazzle the foe on a critical success. We can also add an extra action to the casting of the spell to increase the range to 60 feet, and allow us to deal half damage on a failure. Finally, we can spend a total of 6 actions over the course of 2 rounds to make the target explode in a 10-foot emanation with 2d6 electricity damage with a basic reflex save. If we do this, we are charged with electricity, and any creature that grabs us or hits us with a non-reach melee attack over the next minute takes 1 electricity damage. For our skill feat, we can pick up Pickpocket. With this, we can steal or palm objects that are closely guarded or in a pocket without taking the -5 penalty that we usually would, as long as we would not be extremely noticeable or time-consuming to steal. When we reach Master in Thievery, we can steal an object from a creature in combat, although this will take 2 actions and will still suffer the -5 penalty. Level 5 gives us our first round of ability boost, letting us boost our Dex, Int, Charisma, and Wisdom. For our Ancestry feat, we can pick up General Training, to pick up Incredible Initiative. Luffy may be the captain, but when the ship sails into a storm, Nami is the first one to start barking orders. We can also pick up the Quiet Ally skill feat. This lets allies sneak around with us, with only having to roll one stealth check for the group, rather than one per character. This uses the modifier of the character with the lowest stealth score, but they get a bonus from following the expert equal to 2 if we were expert in stealth, 3 if we were master, and 4 if we're legendary. We also pick up weapon tricks, boosting our proficiency in weapons to expert, and allowing us to use the weapon specialization of any strike we make against a creature who is off guard. For a staff, that means any creature that we crit gets pushed 10 feet away from us. At level 6, we can pick up the Magical Trickster class feat, allowing us to apply our sneak attack damage to any spell that requires an attack roll, as long as we hit an off-guard creature with it. We also pick up the Charlatan skill feat. This will allow us to attempt a deception check whenever we use a magic item. If we succeed against an onlooker's perception DC, they believe that we used the magic spell rather than the item. Nami's abilities may result from science and not magic, but the Marines definitely do not need to know that. Our basic sorcerer spellcasting also gives us access to second rank spell slots at this level. So let's take a look at our options. Sudden Bolt lets us call down a lightning bolt on our foe for 40-12 electricity damage with a basic reflex save. No trickery, no added effect, just damage, nice and simple. Mist lets us fill a 20-foot burst within 120 feet with obscuring mist. Anyone inside the mist is concealed, and anyone outside of the mist is concealed to those who are inside it. It's perfect when you need to make a getaway. 7th level, we can take the general feat, Environmental Grace. With this, we can spend half an hour in an area, and that area suffers from severe cold or heat, we gain immunity to the weather. This is why we get a new outfit change every island. Yep, this is the reason. I can think of no others. We also pick up Evasive Reflexes. Increases our reflex saves to Master, and bumping any successes with reflex saves to critical successes. Perception Mastery bumps our perception to Master, and Weapon Specialization boosts our damage by 2 if we're expert in that weapon. Nami does not use the Climb Attack as a simple weapon very often, but this will help when she does. At level 8, Nami's skills with the Climb Attack increase with the Primal Breath class feat, giving us an extra spell slot of every spell rank but our 2 highest ones. But wait, we only have rank 2 spells. Well, level 8 gives us rank 3 spells. Lightning Bolt will hit all creatures within a 120-foot line with 4d12 electricity damage with a basic reflex save. Also, Tempest Cloak lets us surround either ourselves or an ally with a 30-foot whirlwind. While surrounded by these winds, the target gains a +2 circumstance bonus to AC against physical ranged attacks, as well as the saves against auditory effects, as the rushing winds drown out anything we don't want to hear. Unseasonable Squall lets us place a blast of wind on a 20-foot burst within 120 feet. In addition to extinguishing non-magical fires and blowing away objects of negligible bulk, any medium or smaller creatures in this area must make a fortitude save. On a failure, they are knocked prone, and on a critical failure, they are pushed 30 feet away from the center of the burst, knocked prone, and take 2d6 bludgeoning damage. Finally, Wall of Wind lets us create a 60-foot long, 30-foot high, and 5 feet thick wall of wind. This blocks small projectiles such as bullets, arrows, and bolts, and gives larger projectiles that pass through, such as javelins, a -2 circumstance penalty. The wall is difficult terrain, and creatures that attempt to fly through it must make a fortitude save. On a failure, their action is wasted, and on a critical failure, their action is wasted, and they are pushed 10 feet back. At level 9, we get an Ancestry feat. Multi-talented lets us pick up the Summoner dedication for an Eidolon. Why do we need an Eidolon, you may ask? You didn't honestly think I was going to go through this entire build without getting Zeus, did you? For our Eidolon's type, we're going to pick Air Elemental, specifically the Adaptive Air Elemental, to let Zeus focus on dexterity. We also get Debilitating Strike and Rogue's Resilience at this level. Debilitating Strike lets us slow the speed of an opponent with sneak attack by 10 feet or make them enfeebled for a round. Nami is very creative in finding ways to neutralize her foes. Rogue's Resilience bumps up her fortitude saves while bumping up her successes into critical successes. At 10th level, we pick up another round of ability boosts, so let's bump our Dex, Int, Wisdom, and Charisma. We also pick up Basic Synergy to get Ranged Combatant Summoner feat, letting Zeus fire a lightning bolt for 1d4 damage out to a range of 30 feet. Also for this level, we can pick up Swift Sneak, allowing us to sneak at our full movement speed. At level 11, we're going to pick up 2 skill feats. Biographical Eye lets us accurately stereotype the target by spending 1 minute observing them, learning about their profession, specialty within that profession, and where they live with a society check. Also, foil senses allow us to take precautions to hide against any special senses an opponent might have. I don't know what you need to prepare against observation hockey, but Nami could do it if it stood between her and gold. We also get Rogue's Expertise, bumping our Rogue class DC up to Expert. At level 12, Nami has been spending some time with Usopp. Not only do we upgrade our climb attack with the Expert Druid spellcasting, we also get Fleeing Diversion, allowing us to sneak away after creating diversion. The coward trio has to stick together after all. Expert Druid spellcasting gives us 4th rank spells. Draw the Lightning has perhaps one of the weirdest targets, requiring the target to be either taller than you or higher in the air than you. The spell does 3d12 electricity damage with a basic reflex save, and charges a weapon of your choice. For the next minute, the first strike with said weapon deals an extra d12 of electricity damage. Mirage lets us cause a 50-foot burst to look, sound, feel, and smell like a different kind of terrain, although it can't hide creatures or structures inside that terrain. At level 13, we can take the Bounce Back ancestry feat, letting us recovering from dying without becoming wounded. A prerequisite for being the Straw Hat crew is being able to get back up after getting knocked down. We also get Slippery Secrets, preventing lie detecting spells from revealing our secrets. Master Tricks bumps our proficiency with simple and martial weapons to Master, and Greater Rogue Reflexes bumps our reflex proficiency to Legendary. Light Armor Expertise bumps our AC proficiency to Expert, and Perception Legend bumps our perception to Legendary. At level 14, we can take Initial Eidolon ability as a summoner feat, letting Zeus jump twice as high and far as well as ignore fall damage. Also, we get the Half Truth skill feat, letting Nami skirt around the truth with a deception check to make a request. Level 14 also unlocks our 6th ranked spells. Lightning Storm lets us summon a storm cloud that fills a 20-foot burst within 120 feet. When we cast this spell, and on each of our turns for the next minute, we can call a lightning bolt from the cloud, dealing a 4d12 electricity damage with a basic reflex save. Storm Burst fills a 15-foot burst with 60 feet winds and lightning, dealing 66 electricity damage with a basic reflex saves, while knocking foes prone on a failure and making them stunned 1 on a critical failure. At level 15, we pick up another round of ability boosts: Dex, Con, Int, Wisdom, and Charisma. Finally, we get a general feat, so let's take Legendary Survivalist. This makes it to where the elements no longer damage us. We can go indefinitely without food and water without taking any penalties. Great for when you're out on the water for weeks at a time. To pair with this, we'll take Legendary Guide, which will mimic Nami's ability to navigate her way through new terrain and help to avoid obstacles along the way. We'll also pick up Greater Weapon Specialization to increase our damage output, and Double Debilitation, allowing us to inflict 2 debilitations for Nami. She can now make her enemies enfeebled and slowed with the same sneak attack. At level 16, we can pick up the Expert Combat Eidolon, bumping Zeus's proficiency in unarmed attacks and unarmored defenses to Expert, as well as allowing him to benefit from our weapon specialization feature, granting him up to snuff in combat. For our skill feat, we can pick up Legendary Thief, allowing us to steal things that would normally be too difficult or noticeable to steal, requiring a minute of staying concealed or hidden. Nami's bread and butter is getting her hands on things she shouldn't be able to do, so this fits perfectly. At level 17, Group Aid means when we use a reaction to aid an ally that does not have the attack trait, we can use a free action to aid any other allies that make that same skill, as long as our help is still applicable. Nami may not be the heaviest hitter in the group, but she's more than willing to help out when she can. We also get Legendary Sneak, letting us hide and sneak without concealment or cover, and all rogues get Agile Mind, increasing our proficiency in will saves to Master and bumping our successes in will saves up to critical successes. At level 18, we use Advanced Synergy to pick up the Eidolon's Wrath Summoner feat. With this, Zeus can unleash 17 d6 electricity damage to everything within 20 feet of him with a basic reflex save. We can also take the Glad Hand feat, which lets Nami make an impression on someone without needing to attempt conversation. The Straw Hat Pirates leave very deep impressions everywhere they go, and honestly, their words are the least impactful thing they leave behind. Level 19 brings us 2 more skill feats. Catfall lets us treat all falls as 10 feet shorter, and Quick Coercion lets us use a coerce a character with 1 round of conversation rather than 1 minute. Also, level 19 brings us 2 class features, with Master Strike, the first time we make a strike against a foe that is off guard and deals damage, they must make a fortitude save against their class DC. On a success, they're enfeebled 2 until the end of our next turn. On a failure, they're paralyzed for 4 rounds, and on a critical failure, they are our choice of paralyzed for 4 rounds, unconscious for 2 hours, or straight up dead. This reflects how Nami, well, honestly, Nami has never showed a feat of this strength, but Nami's probably not a level 19th rogue, We also get light armor mastery, increasing your proficiency in light and unarmored defense to master. Finally, we've made it to level 20. For our ability boost, we'll take up Dex, Con, and Int. And a partial boost to Wisdom or Charisma won't do as much good at level 20, so we'll pick up a boost to Strength for good measure. Finally, for our class feat, we can pick up Master Druid Spellcasting to elevate our spells to the highest level, giving us access to both rank 7 and rank 8 spells. For rank 7 spells, there's not a lot of real good options. You can take Shock to the System to heal an ally with electricity, but Nami's never been shown to do a feat like this. Just take Horizon Thunder Sphere for 15d6 electricity damage. For rank 8 spells, we can pick up Whirlwind, letting us fill a 15-foot radius, 8-foot tall cylinder with a mighty tornado. All creatures in the area are buffeted by the wind, taking 5d10 bludgeoning damage with a basic reflex save. On a failure, they rise 10 feet into the air, or 20 feet on a critical failure. We also get a skill feat at this level, so let's take Planar Survival, which allows us to use a survival skill to subsist even when we normally would not be able to. I'm not saying you should build a base on Punk Hazard, but now you totally could. Now that the build is over, let's take a look at the pros and cons to see if the build works. Rogues are absolute skill monkeys. For this build, we get trained in everything and legendary in 6 different skills, meaning we are more versatile than any other member of the crew we've made so far. Tying into being versatile skills, Nami is also well-rounded options of attacks. She's trained in both melee and ranged martial weapons, meaning she always is an option on the battlefield. Finally, with legendary sneak, Nami is almost always allowed to take her enemies off guard. On the flip side, due to being a rogue, her hit points aren't really up to par for most level 20 characters, making her a bit more frail than the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates. Zeus may be a bit flavorful, but he really isn't holding his own in combat. He only gets expert in unarmed strikes and unarmored defenses as opposed to Nami's master in both, and he doesn't benefit from sneak attack. Ironically, Nami's most powerful weapon in the anime might be her weakest aspect of this build. Lastly, because of Nami's dual classing, she does not get the typical amount of spells that a full druid would. This means that we will need to be sparing with them, and use them at most advantageous moments. This isn't too hard for her, as she is the one who usually has the plans, not the one who's in the heat of the battle, if she can avoid it. If you have an interesting take on Nami that I didn't put here, please comment. I love hearing different ways to create characters. Also, if you'd like to see more of these videos, please make sure to like and comment and subscribe. Or drop a suggestion down in the comments to see who you would like me to make in Pathfinder 2e next. See ya!